Chicago, Chicago, Tottenham Town. My dad had a thing for Chicago. He was a bartender there in college. You know what I mean? The Pope is from Chicago. I think I've met a guy named Ralph in the tax office. Was his name Ralph? I don't know. He was a widow. You know what I'm saying? He said he was. And I think he was. You know what I mean? I think he was really widow, but I mean, I don't think that was the most important part about meeting him. He had connections to Sicily too. Took his wife there. It was the rapid change for me with that guy that was really odd. One day he's in the tax office whenever I'm working with, Diane, the lady that had the girlfriend from the Trump office that used to work as Trump's, secretary down at the Mar-a-Lago or whatever. I'm not sure if it was in the Mar-a-Lago or if it was in the offices of the Mar-a-Lago. It was more political secretarial. I don't think she was working in like the hotel or anything. I think that's correct. She has to go through several gates to have to get down there back into the office. So it's like a high security type situation. But Ralph came in one day crying his eyes out in the Jackson Hewitt and the Denellen Walmart that he was, didn't know what to do. And, his wife was gone and he could hardly hold himself together. You know what I'm saying? And then the next day he's coming and telling me how he's got a little fast car, a little red fast car. And he's looking where he can get some action, some younger girls. And I'm just staring at this guy across my desk trying to pitch some shit to me. And Diane's looking way too straight at her screen. You know what I'm saying? And I never really trusted Jack and Diane anyway, because there's a little ditty about Jack and Diane, two American kids growing up in the heartland. Jackie said, "Hey, Diane, you're going to be a superstar or something." You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just like that whole thing to me that I'm just like, I don't know. It looked a little too predictable to me because being in music and everything, you kind of got to you got to know when your chorus is going to hit and you know, when you're on verse, chorus, verse. And it just kind of looked a little predictable. And I'm like, how this motherfucker just came in yesterday, bawling his eyes out about his wife, and he's coming in today, driving a fast car, looking for some action. The fuck is wrong with this guy? This guy's an op. And then he's telling me how he's like got connections, to Chicago and record stores and how the mob is everywhere. And he was trying to come across like he was going to threaten me or something. It was like a little pressure, you know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at this guy and I'm like starting to understand, that not all mobsters come to you with an open shirt and a gold chain. I really wish they did, but they don't. They're just not that smooth. But they're still fucking, you know what I'm saying? They're still real. Still the real guys, you know what I mean? They're just different. They do different things. They have different values in life. But they still funnel money the same. They still rat out fucking money and like, hide their cheese. They still do all that shit the same way. Just some are cooler doing it, some are better looking. No offense to him. It's just, he was older and I don't know, looking for action. It was really odd, you know what I mean? So I listened to him because I was at work, you know what I mean? And my desk was right next to Diane's. It's not like there was like, it wasn't open. We were in a building together. It wasn't inappropriate. And I think she was trying to set me up for like solicitation or something to try to get me for something. Well, I didn't want anything to fucking do with the guy. I was just trying to be polite because I thought he was grieving. And I did. I talked to him for a while because I know some things about grief, and I felt bad for the guy the first day. Second day, it kind of flipped me out because I was like, I don't know if this is part of grief, you know what I mean? So I kept trying to redirect the conversation, but it was pretty clean. I started to understand that he was some type of an op in for something, you know. And when I started talking about the archangels and brought up Raphael, he started crying. I don't really know if it was because it was like Diane's girlfriend, who, whatever her name was, that worked down at the Mar-a-Lago, she was tied into Casadega. And he kind of looked like a Casadega kind of fella. And he had connections to Chicago. And it was shortly after I broke up with Vito, and Vito had connections to Chicago. And he had connections to Casadega. And he had connections to the Psychic Network, California Psychic Network. And ladies with witch hats, and then there was like what's her name, Tink. I don't know who these people, I don't really care who these people are. That's, to be honest with you, with all due respect, I don't they didn't ever come correct. They came too obvious, you know what I'm saying? And like, I was trying to be respectful, but I already knew that they were all fucking running a racket. It's just, I don't run rackets, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not fast or slow enough to do that type of shit. I'm just not in it at all. Um, and even the way that Diane interacted with her husband was totally fucking suspicious. And it's like they were always like you can always catch these people because they're always like looking out of the fucking side of their eye. And it's like, do you guys ever look fucking straight? Do you take tests with the side of your eyes? Like, do you go over your account with the side of your eyes? Do you do taxes out of the fucking side of your eyes, Diane? Like, do you need a special lens that redirects your fucking eye with a mirror so that you could, like, is your neck broke? Like, what the fuck are we doing? What is all this side eyeing for? Holly did the same thing. Rhiannon does the same thing. It's like, as soon as they're possessed, I know a motherfucker's gonna come looking at me like this. It's the first dead giveaway I could tell that these assholes are possessed because they're always fucking cricking their neck. It's like, go see a fucking chiropractor. You know what I mean? It gets on my nerves. Get a fucking neck brace. Okay? Put that shit straight. Like, what are you doing? You all look like head injury victims. Every one of you. Every one of yous. Gets on my nerves. I hope to God when I get to meet the Pope, I swear to God, if the Pope, no disrespect, okay, Pope Aslan, but if I meet you and your face is turned like this, you and I are gonna have a problem. And God forbid your face is turned up at me like this, with your arms crossed and your neck to the side. I'm gonna really be wondering. I'm like, I would have rather have dealt with Vanilla Ice than all of you guys, and just like, at least he said he was a criminal. At least he said he was a roughneck. Come here, baby. At least he was a hot stepper and he was open about it. You know what I mean? At least he was fast and he wasn't pulling any punches. And that's why a lot of times, like, I'll take open thugs than half of these assholes anyway, because I can't stand that shit. And what I mean by thugs is like recovered thugs, ones that are smart enough to know that you can't get by with anything and they've lived long enough to stop running a racket. Like, I love those people. I love the people that have gone to prison for the shit that they've done and they know that they're not getting by with anything. And they value themselves enough to not do that shit again. Like, I really, really, really love some hardcore fucking street guys that really have served hard time for shit and know that they better fucking walk straight and not be messing around. And they got another shot at life and they're going to do it the right way. Don't come to me about somebody that has a fucking record. I'm more concerned about the people out here that I see walking with a fucking crook neck, and that shit pisses me off. You know what I mean? I'm sick and tired of people saying you could trust them, but they're walking around like this. I don't like that shit. I got a problem with that. I really do. I try to pull it in. But it's just, I've met so many sideways people that it's not that I've given up on the hope of like humanity. I am concerned for my kids. I know that they're okay because I know God has them. Like, I know that my babies are okay. I know He's not going to let anything touch them. But I'm definitely turning into even more of a mother hen, and I feel really sorry for the people out here that get scammed by these kind of people. I don't like that shit. Like, I don't like older people that have just been loyal and simple and they really have lived normal lives and they weren't really out here trying to be something else in their marriage or cover who they were, and if they were a certain way they were just open about it and honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really am protective of those kind of people. I don't like people taking advantage of people. It really pisses me off because you have a person, and you people would think I might be a little borderline with that, but I'm actually like, get me out of the equation because you can't trust anything you're seeing right now because you just think I'm a racket like the rest of my family, and I don't really give a shit what you think. But I'm more concerned about like these other people, right? That really have had the opportunity to not be attached to these types of crazy things, right? And they really have lived honest lives. And people run scams on them. People really do steal their inheritances. They really do steal their money. They really do call up these folks that are generous and tell them to support the police department, and people really do send money in. And that shit bothers me. You know what I mean? It bothers me because it's like, number one, they're scamming them out of money, but then God forbid people lose faith in the fucking police department. What is so valuable? What is so necessary? How internally, spiritually, morally, physically, emotionally bankrupt do you have to be? And I'm not trying to chastise you, but I'm really trying to understand how many fucking cars or how many prostitutes, how many extreme nights at the bar to stroke your ego and buy everybody rounds and lap dances and blowjobs, or a night out on the town out in, Nevada, or, in the desert, with some fucking lot lizard, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we on? Like, what? You're gonna take somebody's whole life, that they've worked hard for, that they sacrificed time with their children for. Maybe they had to come a little late to the holiday things with their family. They had to get up every day and make sure that they had their clothes laid out. They went to the grocery store on Sunday to make sure that they had food laid out for the week. You know what I'm saying? They gassed up the car in the morning to get to work on time. A lot of these people worked regular 9 to 5 jobs. They only got paid every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? They did the time of sacrificing their life and living disciplined and organized and responsible to know that their day of kind of like, they didn't even really care to look towards the future and be like, I'll get a day off when. They're just doing what they got. They're doing responsible things. Like the catechism teaches about working 6 days and taking a day off, like basic old school structures. You work during the day, you get home, and all the kids are in bed at night, and like you live a normal family structure. You know what I'm saying? A lot, maybe some people worked in the restaurant business and they kind of had a different schedule. Maybe their faith was different, so they had a different schedule. But these people are working hard their entire life to have some fucking sleazy, slick back son of a bitch or some whore of a woman run a fucking racket on them. And they got people in tax offices, and they've got CPAs that are fucking crooked, and they've got bank people out here that are willing to turn their ass out to be connected to sleazy ass people that would never go fucking shop on Sunday and portion their food out. You know what I'm saying? And if they were, they're not on food stamps like these other people. You know what I'm saying? And they don't eat meat every night of the week or for 6 meals a day. You know, they eat oatmeal and they're doing buy one get one frees and they're looking for the best deals and sometimes they're even shopping at scratching in stores because they want to save up a little bit so they have a little bit to invest in their child or their grandchild. You know what I mean? They're sacrificing, wearing the same shoes for a long period of time, wearing the same pants over and over again. And they're clean. But these are moderate people. They're frugal. They don't fuck with anybody. They don't get involved with people's shit. They do their job. They're happy to do their job. You know, they're happy with the wife that they have. This is less common now. They didn't know anything about the internet. They didn't care. They're good-hearted people. Some Lutheran, some Protestant, Protestant, Lutheran, whatever, some Catholic, some Muslim. These are your moms and dads, your grandfathers, grandmothers. If they turned a little loose, it was for a daughter's wedding. You know what I mean? They felt really good about it. They put the money down on the wedding. They loosened their collar a little bit, not too much. Mom is still pretty, modest showing up. You know what I'm saying? And they worked hard with their hands to pay for that because they love their daughters. And I could almost like tear up over that. They sacrificed for that. They pinched pennies for that wedding. The wife mother went without a couple things because she's like, no, I want to give it to my daughter. He cried when he gave his daughter away because he made sure that she ate because he sacrificed for that. He carried his burden responsibly, made sure that she had well enough good enough clothing for school. She may not have been the most fashionable, but she was clean and she was clothed well, and they may not have had the most expensive, amazing filet mignons, but she ate decently and they had lunch meat and they had, bread and they had what they needed for school. You know what I'm saying? And he loved them and there was peace in the house. Mom made the lunches, whatever. Maybe mom stayed home. Maybe mom worked. Just these are the type of people. Maybe she got sick a little later on. She couldn't do the work anymore. Maybe she got hit with cancer. You know what I mean? And he took it on. He didn't rely on anything for free. He didn't go do a GoFundMe. He didn't ask for a handout. He went on a payment plan with the hospital when she had to go through radiation and work some things out with the insurance that may have not been too good. Maybe she did get into the Cancer Society a little bit. Maybe they went to Moffitt or maybe they helped with some of the bills. Maybe there was some Shriner stuff. But there's still the gas driving back and forth that he had to calculate. The stress on his own heart because his wife could be dying from cancer. He didn't know if she was going to make it or not. The kids are stressed. Maybe his laundry wasn't getting done. He really didn't know how to cook for himself. You know what I'm saying? These are the people. You got some fucking slick ass son of a bitch out here. Some whore ass female capitalizing on people like this. No shame at all. Because she's a body with a fatty. You know what I'm saying, bitch? She's gotta get her nails did. You know what I'm saying, bitch? She's an insta bitch. A baddie. Get the fuck out of here. Fucking pisses me off. That you are so fucking disgusting. You are such a fucking whore. You're a whore. You're a disgusting fucking whore. With all of your beauty that you think you have, you will never be as beautiful as that man's wife that lost all of her fucking hair from chemo. You stupid bitch. Do you understand me? And may a disease worse fall upon you that you never fucking recover from. You stupid whore. All of you. You want to be a fucking mobster. Get the fuck out of here. Even mobsters don't fuck with people like that. Not the real ones. The ones that do that shit are fucking addicts. They're not mobsters. You fucking son of a bitch, you've never given an offering to the fucking Catholic Church. That's what I know about you. You would spend your last fucking money that you've stolen from a person like that and go get some pussy and a hit of fucking crack. Because you're a fucking dirtbag. You wouldn't know anything about being in the mob. That's what I know about you. Some fucking meth and a piece of ass. That shit's disgusting. You classless fucking swine. No respect. No way. But you know, when it comes down to insider trading, and when it comes down to getting a chunk of money, you gotta make it disappear fast. So how do you do that? You can bury it in real estate. You can bury it in business startups. Um, you can bury it in investments. And I mean, I could start naming off names, you know. I can name off like Cami Playstead, who was a part of Edward Jones and did investing in Citrus County, you know what I'm saying, and was friends with Brian and Patience Kavanaugh. And Brian and Patience Kavanaugh were really, really excited into Dave Ramsey things and talking about Roth IRAs and all these investments, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I mean, that's cool, you know what I mean? Like, I'm glad that you're doing that. Like, I want people to do that young, you know what I'm saying, and be responsible. You know, that's good. But I didn't know that they were fucking investing with other people's money. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that they were stealing shit and using people like Cami Playstead to rub shoulders with because her daddy was the fucking mayor and they were doing all kinds of weird shit. And all you need is like, we could go back way further than that because that was only found out maybe not too long ago, but everything went to hell. Like, it was like right before Rhiannon died, which would have been around 2011, 2012. I'll have to look it up. That's when everything hit. And it would have been, so if we're talking about insider trading, and I have to bring this up, Miss Sasser, because you talked about going and hanging out with Rhiannon and having these little cut crease parties or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to go in on you too hard, but we got to talk about this because the reality is you talked about your dad being accused of insider trading. And if I got a chunk of money from a military situation, and if I had a guy who was an investments guy or understood things about stocks, bonds, or CPAs or accounts or like investments or anything like that, like all I'd have to do was make sure several of my friends got a chunk of that money and, figured out how to have a company that I could create for those investors if I wanted to launder it clean enough. Like I could have those guys that I gave some of the money out to for a cut invest in this stock company, and when it went to go sell on the market, which it would be considered insider trading, but it would have been your own company, you just would have had it under somebody else's name because it takes several people to do this, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I know it's a whole network of people, and a bunch of fucking crazy Canadians are in on it too. So I'm not really sure what the financial structure is in Canada, but there's definitely something there with a bunch of fucking Canadians and stocks and bonds. And then we're also entering into like Bitcoin, which I don't really know how old Bitcoin is because I wasn't paying attention. I was dealing with a gay ass fucking husband who was a liar. I was trying to stay alive because I had two kids back to back who were 14 months apart and I was fucking suffering. You know what I'm saying? And then my sister, quote unquote, dies right after partying with you, which I'm not saying you killed her because she didn't die in the Walmart parking lot, Miss Sasser. It was all a bunch of fucking games. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at my dad, and my dad is one of the worst actors I've ever met in my life. He really was. He just was like, I can't believe it was just so fake. And my dad is like, I can't believe Rhiannon died. And even when Joe and Evelyn went to the funeral, they looked like a fish out of water. You know what I'm saying? And Ashley was all hopped up on something. I think everybody fucking was white knuckling because they all knew this shit was gonna blow at any time. I just don't think that they probably had just calmed down before my awakening about 3 years ago. And the way that the awakening kicked off was when I did my first video online and I sang, Sweet dreams are made of thee. Who am I to disagree? Travel the world in the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to be used by you. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to be abused. when I sang that song and posted that video, it shook the fucking core of some people. And they started moving really fast, and I saw it. It was like fucking roaches scattering. You know what I'm saying? And I started to watch. I started to watch them panic. There were people who ran the medical records. There were people who ran the financials and covered the financials. There were people who dealt with the false conservatorship and the lawyers. It started when I was 16 because I automatically had a Baker Act whenever I attempted suicide, which they were a part of. Do you understand? So it started then, and it was trying to maintain itself and kind of switched a mild hand over into Joe and Evelyn Vicicio, which is how they had the money with the property over here in Lecanto. You know what I'm saying? And they made a whole bunch of marketing because they're really, really fucking sharp and they know how to put it all together and present it in a way that really made me feel like it was something new and fresh and modern and it was going to be done the right way. You know what I'm saying? With them blowing up into Citrus County as some fucking hot step in New Yorkers. And somebody knew how to coach them that they would totally be enough for the project with that because I really didn't buy a bunch of country bumpkins. It had to have somebody that had a pitch to them, and it was Joe. But I didn't realize that it was because he was on meth. I didn't know that because I don't think that way. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not a meth addict. You know what I mean? I can't really tell when people are being ballsy and using scripture. Like I thought it was just because they're really excited, good people. I didn't know it's because they're fucking drug addicts and con artists, Satan worshippers, and they don't give a shit about telling you a lie. They don't give a shit about using their niece Kirsten to kind of take on my fucking story. You know what I mean? And present her like she was me or something because and it kind of got enmeshed too much. And then I'm thrown to the back of the property and I look like the fucking hired help or some kind of a whore that they were benevolent to, which is not the case. But I didn't know that that's what they were doing. Had I known, I would have corrected it and been like, that's really not who I am. But thanks, thank you for the help, but that's not the situation here. You know what I'm saying? But they just kind of bought it and ran with it. And I mean, and if I were in that situation, I could have questioned it too. Yeah, I might have wondered myself. Because if she's living in a hotel, you know what I mean? And if the pastor, who I must have known from somewhere because clearly he's Italian, clearly he was in the mob because he said it. Clearly he was over in Las Vegas for a stint, so he must have sold his ass too, I guess. Maybe not. I don't really know what the DeLong family does. I don't know if they like to moonlight and prostitute. I know that their sister Lauren was probably known to suck a few dicks for crack, but I'm not really sure on another level what all that means for the guys. Maybe they did too. I don't know, George. How come you were always worried about my fingernails? Who the fuck looks at my fingernails? Do you wear fake nails, George? I don't fucking know. You know what I'm saying? It's just really odd. You know what I mean? Sometimes, whenever men are too particular about these things, it really makes me fucking question, like, are you wearing pantyhose, you stupid motherfucker? Like, do you have a pair of fucking size 14 Frederick Seals in your fucking closet you want to talk about here? Like, you got something to say about my fucking fingernails and I got a whole massage license? You got something to say to me about my fingernails and I'm a whole fucking chef over here? Like your slow ass brother? You got something to say to me, pal? You got something to say to me, motherfucker? You've already been institutionalized. We know you're known for running rackets. Where's your part in this, George? What the fuck did he call you down to Florida for? What were you doing staying in the hotel or the motel, George? I recognize that fucking haircut anywhere. Think you were in an organized crime, please. It's a fucking scissor cut. You know what I'm saying? With a scalp massage. Oh my god. So all I gotta really do is have a few guys with a fucking vendetta, a few guys with a fucking bone to pick. And here's the sad part, a few really good guys with a false story. Because some little girl fucking lied to her father because she didn't want to tell him the truth that she was snorting cocaine. Because at the time, you didn't have the issues that you had with your family, Stephanie. That decline wasn't then, it was after, when you went further into your addiction. At that time, when that shit happened with Rhiannon, you were still in the middle of your fucking partying phase. And then you fell on the floor and busted your teeth. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't shortly after that that Rhiannon fucking came up. Her ass is dead in a fucking Walmart parking lot? I think not. No. Because I knew something wasn't right that day. And I know now because I'm a Christ follower and a truth bearer that I was like literally groaning on the floor, rocking back and forth and praying for the release of my sister's soul because I was in spiritual warfare over Rhiannon. I had to go to work that day and couldn't fucking snap into my shift, and she was supposedly dying in the Walmart parking lot right across from Ruby Tuesdays. But what I was groaning and rocking back and forth for was a fucking false story. And my sister was getting sold into a fucking slavery and being dealt an injustice upon an injustice because you weren't telling the truth to your fucking dad, and you got a whole bunch of fucking gangsters after my sister because yeah, she did some bad shit. She did. She was a fucking nightmare. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. But she still didn't deserve that shit. What if it were you? What if it's gonna be you now? Because I'm not in control of that. All the people that you had involved that have their name on the fucking line for this shit, all the good people that you got involved that your dad called on because somebody dealt with his daughter in this type of way, all of the vets that have been involved with this shit that went for my fucking family and destroyed every person, there's a lot of fucking people involved over one simple lie. You didn't fucking tell the truth. What if that person is you, Stephanie? And I'm not an eye for an eye person when it comes to this because I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't want to see another fucking person go through what I've had to go through. I don't think they would have made it out. That's when I told you the other night. I've lived long enough and have been through enough of these situations to know that I can't have peace without the responsibility and the age on me like an old fucking grandmother having to sit back and see this thing through multiple lenses. and I got one little ASD girl. And I'm going to tell you, I saw it on you, girl. I saw it as clear as day when you walked up. Literally looked like my Eliana. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm dealing with a guilty girl that has a really covert cognitive issue and sees things a little differently. But one thing I know about my fucking Eliana, which is very similar to fucking Virgos, because she's a little Capricorn, you know what I'm saying? And you're not coming for my kids, guys. Whatever fucking party you think you're running, you're not getting my fucking kids. And if you keep coming for my fucking kids, then it's gonna be your fucking kids. Because that's how this shit works. You can fuck with my life and take my potential, but you're not gonna fuck with my kids. You can hurt me, and you have. You've taken everything. You've been highly disrespectful, never even stopped to ask the right fucking questions. But you're not gonna fuck with my kids. You're not. I got a bunch of people around this fucking thing with addictions, disorders, eating disorders, sex addictions, autism spectrum disorder. I got some fucking narcissists. I've got a few psychopaths thrown in this dynamic. Megalomaniacs, all these fucking pastors out here that are disrespecting the bishop, number one. You guys should not have churches. I'm sorry. I pray to God that they're entirely shut down. Anybody that started around that time frame and that was guilty by association that played into this shit, you guys will be lucky if you ever fucking see your kids again. Do you understand what I'm saying? You guys are going to end up in prison because you're fucking selfish and greedy. And to my knowledge, none of you just wanted to work a regular 9 to 5 job and stay there. Rob Russo was the only one that I knew of that was okay being a teacher. He's the only one, him and his wife, Chris. Everybody else saw it as a fucking free ride out. Rob made some mistakes. Rob, you know you made mistakes. Rob is probably right now so fucked up and crying on the floor everywhere. Rob can't even stand himself right now. Like, I'm going to tell you something about Rob. Rob is a mess right now. I know it. He's a fucking mess. Because he was told more shit about me and had such an idea of what I was because he was fucking lied to. But one thing I could step away from and know about Rob and Chris Russo is that whatever they brought to them to make them offended, it's because they actually are decent fucking people. Do you understand what I'm saying? They actually are good people. But you gave them the wrong fucking information on purpose. Rob right now is bawling his eyes out. Because he feels responsible. Because he's old school Italian, and when he takes on a fucking responsibility, he means it. And that's his grandparents speaking for him. Rob doesn't give a shit about your money. He doesn't give a shit about a position. He's supposed to be in certain positions. He actually has things to share. He actually has gifts to share with people. But I couldn't figure out why the spiritual warfare between me and Rob has always been fucking like this. He loved me and hated me all at the same time, and I could never fucking figure it out. Now I know why. Because everybody was up in his ear. Low class, unintelligent, selfish, fucking greedy people all up in their ear. Rob and Chris, Rob and Chris. And I've got my own fucking beefs with Rob. But they're not our original beefs. Rob's not going to jeopardize his family and his wife like that. You guys are fucking sick. And you cared nothing about people like him. Because he is the type of guy that would go work a 9 to 5. And he is the type of guy that'll sacrifice. He is. And he is the type of guy that'll spread out the food that he bought with his own hands and the work of his fucking brow. The sweat of his brow. And his wife's, by the way. With a special needs child. You selfish son of a bitches. Put his own fucking name on the line and make an embarrassment of him whenever he actually went to college and made something of himself and became a literature teacher. And served over at Crystal River High School for multiple years. And you're going to make a fool of him whenever he's the most fucking qualified in the room. But you're all a bunch of egocentric dick suckers is what you are. A bunch of fucking perverts. That's not Mr. Russo. And that's not his wife. And his kids don't deserve that shit. Joseph always having a fucking beef with Rob. Because he's a Satanist. That's why. Because Doreen's a fucking Satanist. And not a good one. Because they embezzle money. And they launder money. And they write fat checks to people like the IMI Institute and Dr. Harfouche. And hand them cars. And sign over shit. Because a gift perverts judgment. Writing fat checks to Rodney Howard-Browne. Acting like they're serving for fucking camp meetings. Giving things to Calvary. Doing favors for them. It's all fucking networking. For laundering, embezzlement, insider trading, catch me if you fucking can. Trafficking. Get the fuck out of here. You know what the crazy thing is? And I'm not saying the kids are always guilty. Some may be in on it. But they use their fucking kids to get in. They create scenarios to get into these pastors' households. To get emotionally attached to the pastors. So it's like the kids are put in with spell work. To fuck up the families or the dynamics or the structures. Or, you know, the pastors end up being a little codependent. Or they really feel led. Whatever it is. Because let me tell you something. Sometimes it may be used as a ploy. And it really fucking saved a kid's life. Like Danielle. Like Danielle was supposed to be sent in to Rob's house to be like a seduction for him. You know what I'm saying? Like it was for Otis with Kirsten. It's like the way that the Satanists do haram on people or something. You know what I mean? Send the girl in. But Rob isn't a fucking pervert. He's not. So it didn't work on him because he actually just saw Danielle as a girl that was suffering because her family's fucking crazy, and Rob picked up on it. But he's actually decent, and he's ready to slit my throat because he thinks I'm a whole problem over here. And I get it. It's cool. Whatever. I see who he is. I don't give a shit. It's not my problem. You know what I mean? How is he supposed to know what he doesn't know? This is where trauma kicks in. And people end up with fucking PTSD because they're sideswiped by something so crazy that they're afraid to even be in ministry anymore. The scandal is so great and so tactical that men like him that are true leaders never want to fucking touch a pulpit again because they're good people. They're honest men. They're good men. They're like, I don't want it. I'm done. And I can't blame them. I'd be the same way. Well, I am. That's why I got out. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't. You're not going to find me. Um, you're not going to find me singing on a stage, bringing down the anointing with my house in shambles. No way. You're not going to see me jockeying for a position on your stage. Almost as soon as I got married, I pulled that shit right away. I'm not going to be no worship leader. For what? This guy's gay. He's opening computers and masturbating every time I leave the fucking house, and I knew that shit was in my house. No way. What do you mean, pastor who? For what? And that's why we were never solid anywhere. God offered the keys to Church of God a couple times to be worship leaders. Can't fulfill it. Can't. You know why? Because this motherfucker is in the closet doing all kinds of weird shit, and I'm not bringing that shit to your church. I won't. Because I love you enough and myself enough to know that I'm not standing up underneath of that and like putting on a fucking clown mask every time I get on your stage just because I can sing really well. This is not a show. There are people's souls out here that come into the house of God, regardless of what house you are, for answers. Because they're having really hard fucking problems. And it doesn't mean that the men up there don't have problems. It just means how are they intending to live their life with these problems? Because I got one man over here that has a daughter on drugs that's screwing everybody in the community. And it's not his fault. And he's trying to do everything he can to pray for her and get her the help he need and not be codependent and let the officials step in and help or whatever. But then I got another fucking pastor over here that either could pimp his daughter out or screwed her or did something weird, or he doesn't say anything about the drug addiction and he covers for her because he worries about his reputation and who he is in the community as a pastor, and therefore creates his daughter as the idol of his church. You know what I'm saying? I've got two different folks here, and one of them is innocent and one is worthy of leading and the other's a fucking nightmare to his daughter first. You know what I'm saying? Because he hates her so much, he won't even call her out. He won't even deal with her shit. He'd rather just look good. That's not a father. That's a fucking pedophile. That's an opportunist. That's a pimp. You know what I'm saying? That's a pervert. Absolutely not. You can't help it your fucking kid. You know, maybe you could or could not help it that your kid got on drugs and is a whore. It's what you do with it. And it sucks. You know what I mean? Like, you can't help it that your wife ran around and cheated on you. You know what I'm saying? Or your husband did, or whoever, whatever dynamic this is. But there's one that'll be honest and not necessarily open with you, because I don't think that every pastor should have to live their life on Front Street with all their business out there. You know what I'm saying? But I got one that has the heart that wants to actually get it dealt with and is honest with the congregation or the board meetings, who the people in his inner circle, being responsible with it and being tactful with it for her, and not trying to run a scandal and not letting her run shit in the church. And it's not about his reputation, it's about her taking ownership and getting, or him or the boy or whoever it is, getting the help he needs. And dad's not hiding it, but he'll suffer through that, accusations and all, with integrity, because he's supposed to be there or something. But then I got another guy out here that's fucking buying her cars and stripper heels. You know what I'm saying? It's different. One's a leader and one deserves to be exposed. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to money laundering, all I need is a group of men. In the beginning of whenever Bitcoin came on, and everything moved to more like computerized stuff and financials and stuff like that, all you need is a couple people that understand investments and everything that went to, like, you know, digital stuff and then digital currency. And these are all around the same time frames. This is when everything was like, everything was moving around that same time frame. So somebody here knew something about stocks and investments, and somebody here knew something about Bitcoin. Somebody here had some in somewhere with all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And somebody was dealing with vets and cops. You know what I mean? Real estate. Energy. Nuclear. Construction companies. You know what I mean? Shipping companies. (501c3s). Gifts in kind. All I gotta do is have a friend that I funnel the money to give several gifts into the charity. You understand what I'm saying? And then it turns into a feeding program. But most of the money, you know, was being funneled into different stock options and different things. You know what I'm saying? And then if you add in a few airline stewardesses and you've got some bank accounts overseas, or you've got some friends like Vaughn and Sadra, you know what I mean? And they do banking in a whole other language. They've got connections. And then we've got, like, what's her name from Colombia. And then we've got Irene from Norway. It's like a multinational fucking scam. And that's why that guy Ralph is sitting across my desk trying to kind of like pump me up and like the mob is everywhere. I don't give a fuck where the mob is. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck where your gang is. I don't give a shit. You're not taking my fucking money. And if you took my fucking money, you're going to give it back. You're not fucking with my family because you want to come around and act like a bunch of fucking dense thugs. Disrespect your family names and your lines and your lineage, and invite a fucking curse and a hex on your life because you fuck with innocent people. I don't give a shit who you think you are. I don't give a fuck if you're cartel. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck if you got bodies on your hand, on you. I don't give a shit. I don't fucking care. I would be afraid of you if I did something. I'm not stupid. My dad's not innocent. My sister's not innocent. My mother's not innocent. My niece is not innocent. I'm innocent. My kids are innocent. My ex is not innocent. His family is not innocent. It's when people know what they're doing that makes them guilty. What makes people innocent is when they don't fucking know. These people knew what they were doing. Holly knew what she was doing. And Stephanie knew what she was doing. She was fucking scared. That's a little different. And it caused a big fucking problem, Stephanie. I'm telling you, I literally feel this one really hard with her because I know that she's got some shit going on upstairs, guys. I know what I'm looking at, and I saw what I saw at that table. It's not just addiction for her. You're dealing with a girl that came from a good family. You know what I'm saying? A beautiful girl that came from a good family and got fucked up into some shit and created some big problems. Because her dad probably ran a racket, and not her dad probably didn't run a racket. Her dad probably took the money and invested it for some pretty big deal guys, and he knew what the fuck he was doing, and he wasn't being sideways about it. But because he had seen it done, and because somebody hit him right between the fucking right in the heart with his daughter, he did what any fucking dad would do, and he made some moves. Do you know what I mean? He did what any dad would do. And I've still got this little girl that's in her fucking head because she's like really feeling fucking bad for what she did. And I'm telling you, Stephanie, you need some help. You know what I mean? Like, you really need some help. Because the one thing that doesn't need to happen in this situation is for you to harm yourself. You know what I mean? It's a hard story to tell. It really is. This is a hard one. It's a hard story to tell, Stephanie. It really is. But I know that you really didn't know everything completely that was going on here. You know what I mean? I can look at you in my mind's eye, and I swear to God, I see my daughter, and I pray over my kids, Eliana, Levi, and Lily, and I'm telling you, when mommy tells you not to get involved in these fucking streets with these fast people, or let people do things to you inappropriately or speak into your ear and tell you stupid shit, there's a reason why I tell you not to get involved with this shit, because I'm dealing with an entire fallout of people who didn't want to listen to their moms and dads. You know what I'm saying? And the price is too high. And you know where the price is the highest? And Eliana, I think you can hear me on this one, honey, is the price is the highest with the girl that was scared and made some really bad fucking moves and destroyed a lot of people's lives because she had a dad that loved her and she called on that but didn't tell the truth. And Eliana, I know you know on a smaller scale what that's like. We've all done that, right? Where you panicked and you did something wrong. You know what I'm saying? And you pulled in favors because you know people love you. And you know they'll do things for you. And you panic because you knew you were fucking guilty. Maybe not guilty, not to the level that other people are, but you did something bad. You know what I mean? You had cocaine. Because maybe you saw them do it on a video. You know what I mean? Maybe you saw somebody buy drugs once on a video when you went and fucking acted it out, and you're like, yeah, I want to be that girl. You know what I mean? I want to be on the Goodfellas. You know, I want to be Fast, or I want to be fucking Pulp Fiction, or whatever the hell. Like, I want to get hooked up and yoked up with a fucking mob guy. Like, I really like the idea of that. Like, I'm really into that. I get it. But this is not the movies, baby. It's not. And autistic people or people with ASD have a thing like where they're learning from music and they're learning from videos, and we got to be really fucking careful, boys and girls, because it's not the movies, baby. It's not. When the songs are talking about all these sexual acts and the violence of killing people and the movies of killing people and all this shit, guys, it's not what you think it is. I mean, those things have existed, but if you look at those guys today that are standing on the other side of that hard knock life, they're going to tell you right now it wasn't glamorous. That's the movies. There's no happy ending in those situations. They're sitting in penitentiaries today, some of them innocent, some of them guilty. It's a hard knock fucking life. I think we're seeing that now. You guys opened yourself up to stuff that you had no idea what you were getting into. Some of you watched The Craft one time and want to go open up a fucking a spell book, and practice levitating one another. You want to read tarot cards and you want to go open up a fucking Ouija board. Not even knowing that you have open gates because you're open to the 7 deadly sins. You haven't even worked on character development enough and don't even realize that you're inviting fucking tests one after another after another after another because you're not centered. We can't have this thing, guys. We can't have this thing where one family fucks with one guy's daughter and out of revenge somebody gets back at another guy's fucking because of fucking with another guy's fucking daughter. Do you know what I'm saying? We can't have it. Like we can't have, oh, you think you're gonna fucking do that to my kid? And then we got another big dog guy over here, like my dad. Oh, you're not gonna fucking do that to my kid. Because a lot of people lied to my dad too. You don't think that there are people standing with my family that would destroy everything about all of you people in a fucking heartbeat? You don't think that I got people being communicated to over in fucking Sicily right now and in Rome? Communicating the truth about stories that these people were lied to about? And I got Italians and Sicilians over here in America fucking scared to go to sleep at night because they know what they fucking did. And let me tell you guys, as much as I appreciate the fact that you guys would love my father enough, and you would love me enough, and you would love my mother enough, or you would love my kids, or you would love my sister enough, the only way that this atom bomb potential gets diffused is the admittance of where people fucked up and taking their lickings for what they did, and everybody getting to fucking mass. or church or your shaman or a counselor or a 12 step or cops that you could trust to start handing the shit back in or being responsible for what you did and said or trying to clean up the mess in the best way possible. But a bomb on a bomb only means more fucking bodies. And honestly, guys, I can't be responsible for that kind of favor. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't want to see another girl have to go work off by dancing or being a prostitute, a bill that she created, lying. You know what I'm saying? Or like have to go trick herself out because she disrespected something attached to my name that fucked up other people. Because it may not even, it could have even just like, but it's attached to me. You know what I'm saying? But it was using other people. It was favors upon favors from friends. Because because I'm not that big. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a person. But it's when you start involving big names and big people and you're jeopardizing their medical licenses and their law licenses and their badges over lies. That one just thing on top of another unjust thing on top of another unjust thing just makes things more unjust. You know what I mean? It's not worth it. It's time for everybody to take responsibility for themselves. You know what I mean? If everybody takes responsibility for their side of the street, it might be a little bit better. I can't hurt you, Stephanie. I can't. And it's not because you lit a candle, and it's not because you did a little prayer. It's not because you may have connections to something. It's not because you called in spell work from a friend. It's not because you had somebody doing hex work and binding, Stephanie. It's not. It's because I'm a mother. It's because I'm a mother. You guys don't know, but a lot of times, like, mothers are some of the fucking strongest gangsters you're gonna know. And I'm not gonna self appoint this, but they're the ones that are overlooked a lot. And I think that the mothers of the families, of like the big families, you know what I mean, up north, the big ones, you know what I'm saying, and down south, they know what's up. There's some powerful women from these different families that would be all guns out for a situation until they find out that somebody actually has a cognitive issue or somebody has made a mistake. It's a different situation. it's like, what if it were my kid? You know what I'm saying? And here's the truth, it could be one day. I pray to God it isn't. And that's why I don't capitalize on tenure or family name or whatever all that shit is. And I'm blessed to not have that leg to stand on. It was all fucking taken from me. Every bit of it. And it made me desperate enough to recognize that it could be my kid. And I don't want that life for them. You know what I mean? I don't want that life for my kids. I'm not willing to live fast at the expense of my kids. I'm not willing to compromise the potential that my baby may miss something because I'm out here being a badass. For you girls that are careless out here, that are running around with your fucking cars and your extensions and your nails, you know what I'm saying, and your little Instagram accounts, and your beautiful lives that were built on the backs of other people because you thought you were going to get by with something, or that you lucked out, or that you're real fucking slick or something. I hope you have the grace to recognize how ugly, broken, poor, and insignificant you are. In hopes that you'll make a change before it affects your kids. You know what I'm saying? If you were a part of bringing devastation, you need to understand that retribution comes from, like, that revenge retribution, you know, like it's God's to do. And maybe you'll quit while you're ahead. Maybe you will. I hope so. And maybe you look in the eyes of your kid tonight and wonder if it's worth it. Wonder if you're willing to do that to them. And if you are, maybe God will grant you the grace to turn them over to a family that can keep them safe from you, so that they don't end up a casualty of your selfishness. You know what I mean? In the Bible, the Hebrew Bible, it says that the enemy is after your seed. That's what that means. But it's the devil in you. It's not an outside source. Take care.